Hi, and welcome to Sikorski's Think Abouts. I'm your host, Laura Sikorski, and our show is centered on the call center industry, but works for everybody, works for small, medium, and large businesses. We talk about customer service, we talk about customer experience, and today we're going to talk about technology. The show is conversational, and we're going to be dealing with operations issues, management issues, etc. But with me today is a very good friend, Mike Conti. Mike and I know each other for about 20 years and worked together on a project building a call center in Fredericksburg, Virginia. And Mike's company at the time, Rockwell, provided the technology to get that call center up and running. Mike has held various roles in his distinguished career. He's worked for eLoyalty, Verizon, JP Chase, Rockwell, and is currently working for an industry leader that's recognized by Gartner, which is one of our industry guys that rate his company as one of the best in the industry. He focuses on business challenges, improving the customer experience, as well as the employee productivity. One of the things that Mike is great at is how the customer can understand ROI. What is the value by buying this particular technology? And I did do a recommendation for Mike a while ago, and I'm going to read it so I don't get it wrong. It says, "You will never be sorry having Mike Conti in your corner for a technology implementation." Wow. So, Mike, I am so excited to have you with us.
Thanks for having me. This is great.
And, we talked a little bit about earlier when Mike and I met as to, what to really talk about and not to make it too technical,
right,
but to have people understand what it is that technology can do for the customer care industry. So I thought the first question we would ask is, what are the trends today?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of trends going on in the marketplace today. I'd say the biggest trend is moving the call center technology to the cloud. That has been kind of the biggest over the last, it's been going on for about 5-6 years, and some people have been doing it even longer. But I'd say for the last 2 or 3 years, since 2008, we've seen a lot of consolidation. Being able to consolidate and put your technology in the cloud so that you can focus on business practices rather than technology has been a big thing for customers. Also, from a small, medium business who, when it comes to call center technology, it can be pretty pricey. For a small business now, they can actually get involved with high-level, very robust, very scalable, and very feature-rich technology because they can buy it at a kind of a per-user basis rather than a gigantic capital investment.
So when they say the cloud, what does that really mean?
Yeah, so you got a couple of different people who use different terms like hosted or cloud. So really, in a hosted, which is, you don't really hear too much, it's where people take their technology and host it, and someone kind of puts it in another environment for them. True
so
cloud,
it's not in your building.
It's not in your building anymore. So the hardware, the software, is no longer, you license that technology, but it's no longer on your premise or in your building or in your own data center. It's up in a hosted data center, and these data centers are hardened. They're PCI compliant if those are the things you want, or HIPAA depending on the industry that you're
that would
going
be good
on.
for healthcare.
So lots of regulations. All these environments are hardened, secure, and have backups for data as well as the infrastructure coming in and out. The other thing from a cloud perspective is you as a customer can license this technology, and you're buying it on a complete managed service. So you've got not only the provider of the technology that's going to provide the technology, but also manage it, administrate it, and configure it for you on an ongoing basis. So you don't have to worry about anything. It's really taking that, most in the past, many customers, or people, organizations have bought what we'd call best in breed or siloed technology and brought it all together. Moving it into the cloud through a seamless, one platform environment gets you out of that, interoperability issues. It gets you out of worrying about one party upgrading and not being compatible with another one. And it allows the customers or the end users or end administrators to focus on their business and not on technology.
And I can say recently implemented for a healthcare hospital and it was fabulous. We had a time crunch,
Right.
and in 4 weeks, we implemented a 15-seat call center, and that is unheard
Right.
of in our industry, especially when you have to have it on your premise because there are so many other things involved. And this way, we were able to concentrate on how we wanted our customers, our patients, when they called in, to react to something new,
Right.
because it was going to be the first time they had the Press One technology, and we wanted to make it very easy for the users who were, going into totally something very different.
Absolutely. Time to market is huge, and cloud offers you a very quick time to market. The application's already integrated, so you're not bringing multiple parties together to make the solution work. It's usually a combined all-in-one solution. So you've got that time to market. The other thing is scaling up and scaling down. So a lot of businesses, maybe they have seasonal business, maybe their business is in acquiring or acquisition mode. Having a cloud-based platform for really any type of technology, not necessarily a call center, makes it very easy for them to be able to ramp up and ramp down when they need to.
Right, because they don't have to go out and buy servers,
That's it.
et cetera. Everything is by the vendor,
That's
and
right.
it's provided for you. Your voice technology and your data technology is all in this wonderful place here called the cloud.
Right.
Right, the
Right.
cloud. I'd like to talk a little bit about trends.
Okay.
And what's happening. So, to the audience, I'm hoping you can see all of this that's happening in the call center industry. But it is also happening in general business operations, because customers are becoming very savvy today. They want to know that you're going to be there when I want, on the channel that I want,
Right.
and it becomes very exciting for them when you provide it.
That's right.
Okay? So if you could just kind of step us through some of this technology and some of these trends, we would appreciate it.
So, a couple of the trends that you see here, you see the word multi-channel up here. That really kind of emphasizes that today's customers are very informed. They also have many ways to access your business. So in the past, call centers, were traditional voice. Customer would pick up the phone, they'd call an IVR, press this, press 1 for this, press 2 for this, get to an agent. Well, now that's changed. The devices have changed. The way people want to access your business has changed. So multi-channel's become a big thing. Routing voice calls is pretty standard, but routing inbound chats, from the web, routing emails that need to be taken care of, routing SMSs, short messaging service. Or the biggest thing now is social media. So being able to route social media interactions. So when something's happening out on the social website, whether it's about your product or service, whether it's positive or negative, being able to route that particular interaction into someone that can react to it, that can take action on that.
Right.
Some of the other...
If I could just interrupt
Yeah.
for a second, because a lot of times with our voice channel, and that is, for those of you in the audience who may not be technical, that's when you reach the call center and they ask you to press, but then they ask you to be on hold. And what that routing is it means first in, first out. So again, our industry primarily was just voice. Today, we can route your emails, and that's how the agents are getting the call. It is routed to their computer. The same with the web chat. It is routed to that agent who has the skill.
That's right. I mean, I think getting back to the trends, since 2008, things have gotten very competitive. So the marketplace is competitive. A lot of the products and services that we all offer have been commoditized. So really, customer service, being able to respond to your customers' interactions, inquiries, requests, or wanting to buy something, has become the most important part of a business's strategy. So being able to create a paradigm for all the different channels, and then being able to let a customer interact with you the way they want to, the best way that they want to interact with you. The last thing you want to do is be a web-based company and not offer support on chatting.
Right.
Or email. And you'll see this even with companies like Amazon.com. I mean, they don't even have a telephone number to call. It's very difficult to call them. Everything is done through email or through your account information on the screen.
And personally, I like that. Sometimes I really don't want to deal with a human, because my request is very simple.
They've made an art form of being able to do returns and stuff like that. I mean, it's excellent the way they've.
But they've
done it.
also changed the industry, because when you on there, is it the Kindle Blue Fire phone or whatever it is, you can press video and you will get a video in 10 seconds and be able to talk with that person.
That's right.
And they can pull up on your phone exactly what you should be doing. So
That's
they
right.
have indeed changed the
Again,
industry.
another example of the customer is driving how they want to interact with a particular business, and the businesses have to be able to support that, or else customers will go to where they are comfortable interacting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Competition today is technology.
Absolutely.
So if we can go back.
You know, some of the other areas that are truly really big here is analytics. You know, getting not just analytics but also call recording, call scoring, surveys, and analytics. And when I look at all of those together, I would say that trend is called workforce optimization. So it's not only being able to manage and measure your agents, but it's also to be able to listen to the voice of the customer through surveys and through real-time analytics. So listening to a call and reacting to words that are actually happening during the call. Alerting supervisors, alerting managers, maybe alerting your marketing organization that something's happening on this call, whether it's a customer that wants to defect your service or return, whatever those things may be. The other thing that's great is that these systems now can survey both the customer side of the interaction, and again, when I say interaction, I'm talking about email, chat, video, voice. It doesn't really matter where that's coming from, which channel they're using. So basically, you're able to analyze that and provide a survey or provide real-time information to the people that are managing it. And then again, actionable data that the people who are responsible for customer service, customer experience, sales in an organization can respond right away, because it's important to take care of those customers when you have them on the phone.
Absolutely. And I know speech analytics for one of my clients has been invaluable.
Right.
I mean, it because what happens is the supervisor can see all of a sudden the voice changes.
Right.
And so they immediately go in and start monitoring the call.
Right.
And they see that the customer is upset for a very whatever reason.
Right.
And they can do an IM chat immediately with the representative, or they can whisper in the representative's ear and say, I suggest you do this or whatever, or they take over the call. So speech analytics is incredible.
It's really great. And what it does is, you know, whether you're a small business, medium business, or large enterprise, the reality is that as a supervisor or a person in charge of quality, it's impossible to listen to all the calls and being able to get that right sample where you can do it. You know, these tools allow you to get the exceptions. Right? So survey your customers, and you know, if a great survey comes around, send that to your supervisor. If a bad survey comes around, send that to the supervisor. Don't make the management or supervisors have to go dig for it. Provide that for them.
Right.
Same way analytics provides the exceptions to the people who are scoring it, listening to it, to management, so that you don't have to be digging through, you know, a needle in a haystack.
And
if
it's
you will.
also for the benefit of the staff, because they get instantaneous
Absolutely.
assistance,
Yep.
gratification, thank yous,
Training.
Yep. Right off the bat.
That's
and
right.
I think, again, from the 30 years ago when I started in the biz with automatic systems, this has come far beyond where anyone could have imagined that we're going to be able to do this.
And it's all about emphasizing not just the negative part of working with customers. It's absolutely about emphasizing the positive. What works? You know, what works for certain agents? What works for certain demographics? The information that you can pull out of this is really limitless. Of how you then use that to enhance and change your customer experience. Unified communications has been a big trend. You know, really again, unifying the devices that people are using, unifying the information, so that not just the people who are responsible for the call center in an organization can help in and pitch into it,
So
but really
let's
tying
talk
everybody together.
a little bit about unified communication. So
Sure.
I'm looking at it from the perspective, I have a cell phone, I have a fax, I have all these ways that people get in touch with me.
Right.
So what does UC mean?
Well, I mean,
For
again,
me.
so the really the true part of, I mean, there's a couple of different definitions for unified communications, but let's look at the one that you just mentioned. People want to get a hold of you, whether it's your customers, whether it's coworkers, whether it's management, you know, whatever they may be. the reality is we want to drive the interaction or those people directly to where you are, not necessarily to a phone device. So in the old days, you had a phone device that was anchored to your desk.
Right, you were kind of tethered to your phone.
The reality is that the working person today doesn't necessarily sit at their desk, wants to be able to prioritize their calls based on maybe what that call is going to mean to you or the person that's calling you. So it's about kind of unifying your device so that you don't have to publish multiple telephone numbers to figure out where to get a hold of Laura. It's about one telephone number that finds and follows you wherever you are, and not just the phone calls, but also the information. So whether it's texting or emails or content that you're working on and collaborating with other people, it's about bringing that whole entire environment to you, not to a particular workstation or a desk. It's where you are. You may be working on a cell phone or a smartphone one day. Tomorrow you're on an iPad. The next day you're on your desktop and you're working. It's about bringing the content to you rather than the other way around.
Excellent. We talked a little bit about multi-channel.
Right.
Is one channel better than another for a customer or consumer?
The one channel better than another really is dictated by the type of customer, right, and what you're doing. So I would, in a technology space, you see it's very normal to have chat and email and video. For a web service, chat and email are a must. The trick is really once you figure out what it is, you can't abandon another channel, right? So every channel has to be cared for and measured, and you have to put the SLAs or the service level responses that you're going to need to do it. So today it used to be standard to have an email responded within 24 hours.
Well, that's crazy.
That's changed.
That's changed.
A voice call and a chat have to be answered right away because you have a customer on the other end. An SMS text has to be answered right away. A video call is real time, has to be answered right away.
And video is coming up really quite a bit in the call centers.
Absolutely. We're seeing it in help desk environments. We're seeing it in healthcare environments. We're seeing it in things that you never thought would be call center related, but now are, because doctors, what I've seen the biggest example of video is doctors using a video kiosk to go back to a translation service. So if they're interacting with a patient who doesn't speak their language, they can go right to a call center to find it, and they don't have to have these people on staff. They can use a third-party call center that does that. And they're using video to do that as well. And you're starting to see things like mobile apps that have doctor apps that you can actually talk live to the doctor in video.
Let's
it's very big.
Talk a little bit about mobility. Everyone hears the word mobility. What does that really mean? Are we saying that our smartphones have to be exactly the same as our tablet and provide information the same as our PC? What are we talking about with mobility?
So mobility, plays right to that whole unified communications area, which is people have these devices that they can do everything. They can surf the web, they can do video, they can do email, they can do chat, they can do text. So most companies today are have to have a mobility strategy because people are all over the place. People are at work, they're sitting in traffic when they're calling into call centers. They may be anywhere. So as organizations have to have a strategy to make their people much more flexible when they're traveling, in the same way, these companies that are interacting with customers need to be able to utilize these new devices to access their business.
Right.
So all of these now have been built on standards. So anything you see on an Android, you can see on an Apple, and the tablets has become the big thing. And if you look at the smartphones, the iPhone 6 just came out. So you're talking about people are buying smartphones, and with the smartphones, there's a certain level of expectation of what I can do with that. So the companies have to address how customers, once I can do something with one company, I start to get into, why can't I do it with that company?
Right, and
why can't I do that anymore? I can do it with this company, why can't I do it with that company? So it's about having a strategy for these devices.
And that's the important thing, I think, in today's business environment, is the C-level, the C-suite, has to have a strategy. They have to have a strategy for customer experience, strategy for customer service, and a strategy on how they're going to provide technology to that customer, because the customer's expectation is, if you don't have it, I'm out of here. I'm going to go find somebody else.
And unfortunately, with expectations, is once you set that expectation here, their expectation now is higher the next time. So you're always trying to reset the bar. You always have to be better than the next guy.
And that's a great thing, though. I think that's a great thing for businesses. It's a great thing for consumers because everybody wants to excel and do something a little bit better.
It's a critical part of everybody's business these days.
We always have a little Ask Laura question at the end of the show, and I just got to highlight that we only have a few more minutes. And this is the question. I hate press 1, press 2 when I call a company. What can you do to stop it? All I want to do is speak to someone.
Right. Well, the first thing I would say is that there used to be a website that you could find that gave you all of the workarounds to get around to everybody.
You press #0. Or
so that's what I always say to everybody, and I represent these technologies. So most companies, if you press, for the people who are calling into it, if you press a *0 or a #0 or just 0, you can actually get to somebody. They may have to triage you there and send you to someone else, but that typically works. I mean, people are getting smarter around it. But for the people who are creating these technologies, I think it's important to stick with a design that is very simple. You keep it simple, whether it's a 4x4 menu, which means that there are 4 entry points and they only go to sub-menus of 4 points, or 3x3, you keep it simple. The other thing is you want to be able to, for the people who are designing it, you want people to be able to barge through these prompts so that they can get through them very quickly. The last recommendation or best practice I could is all these systems come up with reports, and they can tell you how many people press 1, how many people press 6, how many people press 7. And the reality is if your menu is that long and most of your people are hitting 7, you need to change that 7 becomes the first prompt.
Right.
So you need to be able to listen to how many people are calling and then redesign it so that the first prompt will be the one that the majority of the people are doing. And then alternatively, there's always speech recognition, which you can make it even easier. The speech recognition has come a very long way.
Yeah, it's not like it was years ago.
It's much better.
Right.
You've gone from systems to say press or say yes or no, or I should say yes or no, or press or say 1, to now being complete natural language, to be an open-ended question like, how can I help you today?
Right.
So there's a lot of strategies you can use, but I always recommend that you do focus groups with your customers, you look at the analytics to figure out which are the best ways to architect the menu design, and then again, look for alternatives of web, email, chat. I mean, these are all much different ways that customers can access your business.
And I think that's a great takeaway, a great think about for the end of the show, is that if you have an IVR, and that's that press 1, press 2 technology, start looking at your reports, making the decision, is it the right way? Do I have too much industry jargon in there? And I think that's a really great way to end the show.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
That's the best. Would like to let you know that our next show is October 6th, next Monday, and Joe Ogno, who works for Nickerson Corporation, and they are a manufacturer of office furniture and ergonomics. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how you design your office and you space plan your call center for productivity, but what you should make and do as far as your agents' desks. So with that, I want to thank everybody and thank Mike Conti for being my guest today, and hope that you enjoy Sikorski's Think Abouts for the future. Thanks again. Bye.